Happy Easter, good evening and welcome to Business Live. Coming up, government freezes implementation of price stabilization and recovery levy on petroleum products, a move expected to reduce prices at the pumps.
The right direction. We have called severally for such a levy to be put on hold, even when the oil prices were not this record high.
Ghana Fintech and Payments Association calls on Bank of Ghana to expedite action on implementation of policies to spur the growth of the sector.
So we need to find ways and means to push regulation a bit, because with the speed with which AI, DLT, IoT, and all this, technologies that we are seeing coming, regulation has not even scratched the surface of this already. I mean, policies have not really scratched the surface.
Government pushes for use of local materials in housing projects sponsored by state as it seeks to incentivize more private developers to go this way.
Things that we want to go heavily on in our district housing program. The policy direction I've given the new district housing directorate is that we want to build with local materials for the district housing program so that we can cut the costs and promote the use of local materials.
These and many more coming your way in the next 30 minutes with me, Emma Davis. Please stay. Welcome. Let's settle for the details now. Government has directed the National Petroleum Authority to suspend the implementation of price stabilization and recovery levy on petroleum products. This will freeze the implementation of the levy from next Monday, April 1 to June 30, 2024. The directive was in a letter from the National Petroleum Authority to all players in the oil industry. This will result in the removal of 16 pesos from each liter of petrol, 14 pesos on diesel, and 14 pesos on every kilogram of LPG. The levy is used to stabilize prices of petroleum products for consumers. Some industry watchers have argued that this new temporary move could help in reducing prices of petroleum products from next week. Now let's take a reaction from energy strategist and CEO of Eureka Energy Solutions, Dr. Yusuf Suleimana.
A move in the right direction. We have called severally for such a levy to be put on hold, even when the oil prices were not this record high. Because if you look at the price build-up, there is definitely nothing that is working to the favor of the consumer. The three thematic areas that we know that contributes to what the consumer pays at the pump, I can tell you on authority that none of these factors are working to the favor of the poor consumer. One, the exchange rate is not doing that well. Number two will be the prevailing prices in the international space. That is also not low either. We have it in the 80s, now it's in the upper 80s. And if you look at the geopolitical developments within the space, we don't anticipate any drastic drop in the international space with respect to crude oil prices or the commodity prices, especially with the huge tensions within the Middle East, with the fightings within the Red Sea that is impacting, transportation of petroleum products, elongating the routes of transporting petroleum products to their respective destinations. Yes, so there is huge pressure out there, impacting what the consumer pays at the pump directly as well as indirectly. And some of these ones, nobody has control over them. The government of Ghana has no control over them. The regulator has no control over them. What we do have control over will be the third component, the third leg, which is the which will be the taxes, the levies that are on the price build-up. They are quite huge, and I think some of them, we have argued that they have outlived their useful life, they have outlived their purposes, for which they are there. I mean, when we reduce some of these levies on the price build-up, it's not that we love the consumer that we are doing this, but it is just we are working towards preparing general economic growth. If you don't do that, and the prices are very high at the pumps, it impacts inflation. And once you cannot arrest your inflation, you can be sure that there's nothing that you can get right, and that's exactly what is happening. So I welcome that. I welcome that as a positive move, and I think it's a step in the right direction. I only hope that we can keep it up. I mean, it doesn't become temporary. We should be able to elongate it, because, like I said, the factors that will impact prices at the pump, they are still rife, and they will still impact price at the pump within the foreseeable future. And so most of this one, we just have to keep it off the line, and even think about others that we can potentially knock off from the price build-up to serve as huge relief for the consumer.
Away from fuel prices, the Ghana Fintech and Payments Association is calling on the Bank of Ghana to expedite action on the implementation of policies to address emerging technologies in the financial technology space. Speaking on Joy Business Social, its president, Martin Awaga, commended the regulator for its efforts in sanitizing the fintech space, but wants more to be done. His call comes on the back of the rate of the evolution of the sector to spur growth and remain competitive.
Mobile money interoperability existed before, COVID hit, and that was a win for us as a country. Then innovation, like I just mentioned, by the debate we had in our event recently, innovation would always precede regulation, no matter what. So we need to find ways and means to push regulation a bit, because with the speed with which AI, DLT, IoT, and all this, technologies that we are seeing coming, regulation has not even scratched the surface of this already. I mean, policies have not really scratched the surface. So I think, for a large extent, policies have been slow, yes, but kudos when it comes to the financial sector. Kudos to the Bank of Ghana for what they are doing. I mean, they've done tremendously well by even functioning out a fintech and innovation office to take this head on, to take this battle head on, and be able to quickly come up with some frameworks, some solutions, some policies to guard the stability of the financial sector. That's not even an easy feat in itself, because you bear with me. Even last year, for instance, due to some collaborations that the central bank did with ecosystem players like ourselves, and then Yoko and other stakeholders, they were able to identify about 97 unlicensed mobile or digital lending platforms in Ghana. 97. Okay, so it means the regulator is also watching the kind of innovations that are coming and taking steps. So for me, I think we've come a long way. We are doing a lot. The regulator is doing a lot. We should give them kudos for that. I am looking forward to how we can reshape this national policies like the National Financial Inclusion Development Strategy, the Digital Financial Services policy, and then the Cashlight Roadmap to look into the future in terms of the innovations coming up, because these policies have done their work from 2018 to 2023, and it has ended. And we are still waiting to understand what government is going to do. So yes, policy on that angle has been slow.
MTN Ghana Foundation has donated a fully furnished robotics facility to the Methodist Girls Senior High School to aid in developing STEM education in the school. According to the Chief Executive of MTN Ghana, Selom Adadivo, the facility, which cost over 2 million cedis, will help to train young girls in STEM and make them ready for the job market.
MTN Ghana Foundation, as part of its 25th anniversary celebration, has inaugurated an ultra-modern robotics center for the Manfi Methodist Girls High School. The ultra-modern facility includes a 100-seater hall, a research room, and robotics equipment to facilitate teaching and learning of robotics in the school. At the inaugural ceremony, the executive of MTN Ghana, Selom Adadivo, said the facility, which is worth over 2 million Ghana cedis, is aimed at improving robotics education in the country.
So my expectation is one, to broaden the scope of student competence around robotics. So we would expect a lot more students do robotics. That's the first one. But the second one is to also raise the current standards of robotics, even for those who are already practicing, with the labs and the research centers. And then thirdly, to affect the communities around the school, so that not only the Manfi girls get the benefit of the lab, but also those within the community. We spent approximately 2.3 million Ghana cedis on this project. It started in January last year, and we're grateful to the contractors for completing this within budget, but also on time. I mean, I've just walked through the facility, and it's extremely impressive what we have seen in there.
Board Chairman of MTN Ghana Foundation, Professor Franklin Menu, urged the school to cultivate good maintenance culture.
We hope that this facility will provide students with everything they need to continue excelling in robotics and help us to achieve their future aspirations. Ladies and gentlemen, this robotics center is dear to our hearts, and there's the need to ensure a high maintenance culture, as the CEO mentioned. Please, we cannot overemphasize that. Far too often we commission projects and you go back even a year later and the whole place looks dilapidated. We want to avoid that kind of situation, and I think with good Methodist training, this will happen here.
Deputy Minister of Education, Reverend John Intim-Fojo, said investments of this nature will help students to become knowledgeable and able to compete globally.
Industries are going the 21st century way, and this shift is not waiting for any country. We want to prepare our children such that whilst they are in Ghana, they possess the competencies of the 21st century to enable them competently and confidently compete with any other person in any part of the world for opportunities and even shine. What next after this inauguration? My dear students, I want you to make the full use of this. I want you to apply yourself to the highest standards of innovation and creativity, leveraging on this state-of-the-art facility that you have been blessed with.
The facility is expected to improve STEM education in the school and other educational institutions.
Adamus Resources Limited has addressed what it says are inaccuracies surrounding the establishment of an interim management committee due to a court ruling. This comes after individuals claiming to be representatives of the IMC tried to seize control over the company's premises. Jonathan Adongo, an administrative manager of the company, claims the individuals have no ownership stake in the company and merely sought to disrupt this operation.
Adamus Resources successfully defended its office premises against a takeover attempt by BCM Ghana on March 25, 2024. BCM Ghana, represented by their lawyer, attempted to take over with private security but was stopped by Adamus Security and the Ghana Police Service. In an interview with Joy Business, the head of corporate and legal affairs for Nguzu Mining and the administration manager for Adamus Resources, Jonathan Adongo, clarified the ongoing legal dispute.
No court officials. Our staff challenged them to show the court order that has allowed them to come and enter the building, and they said they would not show it. But when the police came in and they ran away, I don't think they had court officials and police from the court to guard them. They had a private security company to do that for them. There's no IMC in place. There's a court ruling which has been challenged. And in fact, we have obtained some ruling. We have obtained a second ruling from the same court with which our lawyers have applied for the first ruling setting up the IMC to be vacated. These are all, and all the lawyers, Lawyer Israelka is very much aware. I'm surprised that he still led a team here with Isaac Akon to come and maybe take over the company premises.
Mr. Adongo further emphasized that BCM Ghana has no shares in the company whatsoever.
Yeah, just to disrupt the business of the company, because that is their only interest. They do not have any shareholding. They have no shareholding to claim in the company. So their only interest would be to cause disruption and embarrass the company and get the company down. But that will not happen. But the people, if they had any leg to stand on, they would not have run away when they saw peace officers, because that is what they required. They didn't require K9, a private security company, to come and give them security. It just shows that they wanted to maybe get into the premises, ransack the building, and cause us pain and harm.
In light of the happenings, the company lawyers for Adamos Resources are taking legal steps to deal with the issue.
You're still watching Business Live with me, Emma Davis. We'll take a quick break. We'll be back with more. Welcome, and to one of our headline stories. Government has directed that more local materials should be used in constructing houses at the district levels. Minister of Works and Housing, Kojo Opon-Kroma, says government is exploring ways that private estate developers can be granted some incentives. It believes this could reduce building costs while dealing with the foreign exchange cost. He spoke on PM Express Business Edition.
We need to promote a lot more local technology construction. And it's one of the things that we want to go heavily on in our district housing program. The policy direction I've given the new district housing directorate is that we want to build with local materials for the district housing program so that we can cut the costs and promote the use of local materials. If you do that, you start dialing down the cost of these materials. Then secondly, construction finance. When a contractor needs to find money to put up the building, what is the cost of borrowing? 30%, 40%, 35% per annum? Yeah. Then that building will not be affordable. So how do we assist them in bringing down the cost of construction finance? And as I mentioned, we've been having interactions with the Association of Bankers to explore ways by which we can reduce the cost of construction finance. Already we piloted the National Home Ownership through the Finance Ministry, I think from about 2018, and it has worked well in Tema Committee 22. And we want to mainstream that model, particularly for our district housing.
Government statistician Professor Samuel Kobina Enim says the fight against corruption in the country will continue to be a mirage if the country's institutions are not adequately resourced to enhance the fight. According to him, the corruption fight is being looked at from only one perspective without adequately exhausting the pull and push factors, including salary levels of employees. There is more in this report.
The conversation around corruption has been so intense that we look at it from only one side rather than the resourcefulness of institutions. I am told that at some point, one of our former presidents said, the government pretends to be paying public servants and the public servants pretend to be working. How resourceful are institutions so that gradually we can get them to move away from this practice?
Professor Samuel Kobina Enim speaking about the country's approach to fighting corruption and how the fight could be enhanced. He entreated the academics to influence policy with their research and build data repositories that would make their research relevant to the needs of society.
The pull and push factors of corruption and building complementary data series, which I talked about. This is the time for us as an academic community to take our different policy documents, don't evaluate it from a subjective point of view, evaluate it from the statistical target point of view. And there are very basic things you can do based on that. Did they have statistical targets in there? The numbers in there, can you associate with the numbers in there based on data that sits with your own university, data that sits in other national statistical spaces? Were those targets realistic? Were we able to achieve those targets?
Director for the Institute for Social, Statistical and Economic Research, Professor Peter Korte, urged the academics to make their research count by making themselves available for the country to tap their expertise.
Oftentimes, academics, we are seen as sitting on an ivory tower somewhere and speaking. The practitioners, etc., also somewhere. We have to bridge that gap. One time I visited the US for a program, a one-week workshop, and The organizer is the special, she's an academic, but it's also the special advisor to the president. So you can see where special advisor on fiscal policies to the president. So you see how academics are used. If you go to the UK, US, all of them, the academics tend to be special advisors, sometimes technical people to those in government. We don't find a lot of that here. And I think we are making a big mistake. We need to correct that. So what you're doing now for me is very apt.
The Dean of the Faculty of Social Sciences Education at the University of Education, Winneba, Professor Anselm Komla Abuchi, was hopeful that the conference would offer the platform for networking and deepening research.
Debt service obligation has become a burden on many low and middle-income countries, which has compelled an increasing number of these countries to pursue debt restructuring options from both internal and external creditors. Countries overburdened with these external debt services obligations under increasing taxes issue more debt or resort to printing paper notes, which has devastating effects on the growth of the economy and the welfare of the citizenry. It is the expectation that this conference will help us to navigate efficaciously through these difficulties towards the stabilization of the economy.
The theme for the conference is bringing the gown to town, governance, society, and post-pandemic adjustment.
Commissioner of Insurance Michael Andor has revealed that insurance companies will soon be required to design and publish their claims processes. He said this is a new directive by the National Insurance Commission aimed at making it easier for insurance customers to make their claims. Mr. Andor was speaking to journalists at the 9th Annual Educational Conference and Exhibition of the Insurance Brokers Association of Ghana, held at Bolgatanga in the Upper East region. Correspondent Albert Sori reports.
The Insurance Brokers Association of Ghana, IBAG, is an association of licensed insurance broker firms in the country. The association's core mandate is to spearhead the affairs of insurance brokers. IBAG has concluded its 9th Annual Educational Conference and Exhibition held at Bolgatanga here in the Upper East region. The focus of this year's conference was on improving customer service and educating the public on the importance of signing on to insurance. It was on the theme, Building a Consistent Customer Service Culture, a tool for increasing insurance penetration. Speaking on the theme, the president of IBAG, Shaibu Ali, said, bad customer service remains the biggest challenge for the insurance industry in Ghana.
As an industry, we know the challenges we have with penetration of insurance in Ghana. Some of the reasons for the low penetration include disposable income, a lack of disposable income for consumers of insurance, lack of knowledge and appreciation of insurance by the populace, the general economic situation, etc. Aside this, however, one key reason for low penetration is the issue of bad customer service, which is plaguing our industry. In a recently published survey of the Ghana Customer Service Index, insurance placed last on the log of providers.
Upper East Regional Minister Stephen Yakubu, in his address, called on the insurance broker firms to address the difficulties often faced by insurance customers in trying to make their claims. He said it was one of the major issues discouraging Ghanaians from patronizing insurance firms.
That'll be all for tonight on Business Live. I am Emma Davis. For more business news, do log on to myjoyonline.com. I leave you with international business.